For centuries, it was a legend, a story whispered by historians, a place mentioned in ancient texts, but lost to time. A city so rich and powerful, it was spoken of in the same breath as Troy and Atlantis. This is the story of Thonis-Heracleion, the magnificent port city of the pharaohs that vanished beneath the waves, only to be rediscovered thousands of years later. Imagine a bustling metropolis at the mouth of the Nile, a gateway to Egypt for the entire ancient world. This was Thonis-Heracleion. Long before Alexandria was even a thought in Alexander the Great's mind, this city was the heart of Egypt's international trade. Its grand temples, busy canals, and crowded harbors welcomed ships from Greece and across the Mediterranean. The city was a melting pot of cultures, a vibrant hub of commerce, religion, and power. The Greeks knew it as Heracleion, named after the hero Heracles, who they believed first set foot in Egypt at this very spot. The Egyptians called it Thonis. Over time, the two names merged, reflecting the city's dual identity. For hundreds of years, it flourished. Pharaohs were crowned in its grand temple of Amun-Gareb. It was here that duties were collected on all goods entering the country, making the kingdom immensely wealthy. Inscriptions tell us that even the legendary Helen of Troy and her lover Paris visited the city before the Trojan War. It was a place of immense historical and religious significance. But then, sometime around the 8th century AD, Thonis-Heracleion disappeared. It wasn't a sudden, cataclysmic event, but a slow, relentless sinking. The city was built on unstable delta sediments at the mouth of the Nile. A combination of factors, earthquakes liquefying the clay soil, a gradual rise in sea level, and the immense weight of its colossal stone buildings sealed its fate. The ground beneath the city simply gave way, and the great port was swallowed by the Mediterranean Sea. For over 1,200 years, its existence faded from reality into myth. It was mentioned in ancient texts by historians like Herodotus and Diodorus, but without any physical proof, many believed it was just another fable. The search for the lost city was a modern-day quest for a historical holy grail. Archaeologists scoured the Egyptian coast for decades with little success. They knew it had to be somewhere in Abu Qir Bay, but the exact location was a mystery. The breakthrough came in the year 2000. A team led by French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio was surveying the bay. They weren't even looking for Thonis-Heracleion specifically. They were searching for Napoleon's warships, sunk during the Battle of the Nile in 1798, but what they found was infinitely more profound. Using sophisticated survey equipment, they detected anomalies on the seabed. When divers went down to investigate, they were met with an unbelievable sight. Emerging from the sand and silt was the face of a colossal statue. It was Hapi, the Egyptian god of the Nile's flood. They had stumbled upon the lost city. It was a moment that would rewrite history. What Gaudio and his team uncovered was not just a few ruins, but an entire city, perfectly preserved beneath a blanket of sand and sea. The discoveries that followed were nothing short of breathtaking. Imagine diving into the murky waters and coming face to face with a 16-foot-tall statue of a pharaoh, perfectly intact. Or finding a fleet of more than 70 ancient ships, a ghostly graveyard resting on the seafloor. These weren't just simple fishing boats. They were advanced vessels, offering incredible insight into the shipbuilding techniques of the time. They also found the main temple of Amun-Gareb, the very heart of the city's religious life. Giant stone tablets, known as stelae, were found standing exactly where they were erected thousands of years ago. One of these, almost identical to a stele found on land, provided the definitive proof that Heracleion and Thonis were indeed the same city. The artifacts brought to the surface tell a vivid story of daily life. Gold coins from across the ancient world, delicate jewelry, ceramic vessels, and bronze ritual instruments paint a picture of a prosperous and devout society. They found small lead figurines of Osiris, the god of the underworld, likely left as offerings by pilgrims. Each object is a time capsule, a direct link to the people who lived, worked, and worshipped here. One of the most fascinating aspects is how the artifacts show the blend of Egyptian and Greek cultures. Statues of pharaohs were carved with a distinct Greek influence, while Greek pottery was found alongside Egyptian religious artifacts. It was a true cosmopolitan center. The excavation of Thonis-Heracleion is one of the most ambitious underwater archaeological projects ever undertaken. It's a slow, painstaking process. Divers work in often difficult conditions, carefully excavating artifacts that have been submerged for over a millennia. They mapped the city's layout, tracing its network of canals and identifying buildings. They've located houses, temples, and harbors, slowly piecing together the urban plan of this ancient metropolis. It's like solving a giant three-dimensional puzzle that's been buried under the sea. So what does the future hold for Thonis-Heracleion? The work is far from over. It's estimated that only about 5% of the city has been explored. Who knows what other secrets lie hidden beneath the sand? Perhaps the tombs of its rulers or texts that will further illuminate this forgotten period of history. Each new dive brings the potential for a major discovery. For now, the treasures of Thonis-Heracleion are touring the world in museum exhibitions, allowing millions of people to witness the splendor of Egypt's sunken city. It's a powerful reminder that history is not always buried under land. Sometimes its greatest secrets are waiting for us in the deep. The story of Thonis-Heracleion is a testament to both the power of nature and the resilience of human memory. A city that was once the epicenter of a great civilization was erased from the map, but it was never truly lost. It lived on in stories, waiting for the day it would be found again. Its rediscovery is more than just an archaeological triumph. It's the recovery of a lost chapter of our shared human story. A story of a magnificent city, its dramatic demise and its spectacular return to the light. Have you ever heard of a city that vanished into the sea, only to be rediscovered thousands of years later? No, I'm not talking about Atlantis. I'm talking about a real-life sunken metropolis, the magnificent gateway to ancient Egypt, Thonis-Heracleion. For centuries, this legendary port city was thought to be just a myth, mentioned only in ancient texts by historians like Herodotus. But then, at the turn of our century, a team of underwater archaeologists made a discovery that would rewrite history. Let's dive in and explore the incredible story of Thonis-Heracleion. Picture this, it's the 7th century BC. You're a Greek merchant sailing towards Egypt. Your first stop? The bustling, cosmopolitan port of Thonis-Heracleion. This city was the official port of entry, the customs hub, the New York City of its time. Towering statues, grand temples, and a complex network of canals greeted every visitor. It was here that all trade from the Greek world was funneled into the land of the pharaohs. Imagine the sights and sounds, ships from distant lands unloading precious cargo, priests chanting in the grand temple of Amun-Gareb, and the mix of languages filling the air. The city was known by two names, Thonis to the Egyptians and Heracleion to the Greeks. The Greeks named it after their hero Heracles, who they believed first set foot in Egypt at this very spot. For over 1,000 years, it thrived as a religious and economic powerhouse. It wasn't just a place of trade. It was a sacred site, home to the temple where new pharaohs would receive their divine power from the gods before ascending to the throne. It was the vital link connecting Egypt to the Mediterranean world. So, what happened? How does an entire city, the size of a modern town, just disappear? The answer lies beneath the waves. The city was built on the unstable silt and clay of the Nile Delta. Over time, a combination of factors, rising sea levels, soil liquefaction from earthquakes, and possibly a massive flood, led to its gradual sinking. By the end of the 2nd century BC, the ground literally gave way, and the great city began its slow descent into a watery grave. By the 8th century AD, it had vanished completely, erased from the map and surviving only in legend. For 1,200 years, Thonis-Heracleion was lost to memory. Scholars debated its existence, wondering if Thonis and Heracleion were two different cities or just one. Then, in the year 2000, French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudiot and his team were surveying the seafloor in Abu Qir Bay, near Alexandria. Using sophisticated scanning equipment, they detected something extraordinary hidden beneath the sand and sediment. What they found was beyond their wildest dreams. Slowly, painstakingly, the city began to re-emerge. Imagine the moment of discovery. A colossal, 5-meter-tall statue of the Nile god Hapi, perfectly preserved, is gently lifted from the seabed. Divers uncover the ruins of the massive temple of Amun-Gareb, the very heart of the city's religious life. They find over 700 ancient anchors, a testament to the city's maritime importance, forming a ship graveyard around the port. Gold coins, intricate jewelry, and ceramic wares from across the ancient world are brought to the surface, each piece telling a story of the city's vibrant life. One of the most spectacular finds was a collection of massive stone slabs called stelae. One in particular, inscribed in both Greek and Egyptian hieroglyphs, was a royal decree from Pharaoh Nectanebo I. It was a tax law, detailing the 10% tax on Greek goods passing through the port. This was the definitive proof, the smoking gun, that confirmed this sunken city was indeed the legendary Thonis-Heracleion. The stela not only confirmed the city's location but also its crucial role as ancient Egypt's main trading hub. The discoveries didn't stop there. Divers found dozens of sunken ships, time capsules from another era, some still containing their cargo. They unearthed enormous statues of pharaohs and queens, their faces staring out from the deep after millennia of silence. They also found smaller, more personal items, delicate amulets, tools, and everyday pottery that give us a glimpse into the lives of the people who called this city home. It's like a perfectly preserved snapshot of a world that was lost. The sheer scale and preservation of the finds are breathtaking. Frank Gaudio and his team's work is far from over. It's estimated that they have only excavated about 5% of the entire site. Who knows what other secrets are still lying in wait beneath the Mediterranean sand? Each new dive brings the potential for another groundbreaking discovery. Will they find the tomb of a forgotten pharaoh? Or perhaps a library of texts that could change our understanding of the ancient world? The possibilities are as vast as the ocean itself. The story of Thonis-Heracleion is a powerful reminder that history is not just written in books. It's buried beneath our feet, and sometimes beneath the waves. It shows us that even the greatest cities can be reclaimed by nature, and that there are still incredible wonders waiting to be discovered. It's a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and our enduring quest to uncover the past. The lost city has returned, and it's finally sharing its incredible story with the world. Have you ever heard of a city so magnificent, so powerful that it was considered the gateway to an entire empire, only to vanish without a trace? For centuries, it was dismissed as a myth, a legend whispered by sailors and scribes. A city named Thonis-Heracleion, the jewel of the Nile Delta, swallowed by the sea and lost to time. But what if I told you this legendary city is real, and that we found it? Stick with me as we dive deep beneath the waves to uncover the incredible story of Egypt's long-lost sunken city. Before Alexandria rose to prominence, there was Thonis-Heracleion. Picture this. It's the 7th century BC. You're sailing towards Egypt, and the first thing you see is this incredible port city. The air is thick with the scent of spices and the sound of a dozen different languages. Ships from all across the Greek world and beyond line the docks, their sails like a forest against the sky. This wasn't just a port. It was the customs hub for the entire kingdom. Every single trade vessel heading into Egypt had to pass through here. It was the international hub of its time, a bustling metropolis teeming with merchants, sailors, officials, and travelers. The city was a marvel of ancient engineering, built on a network of canals that crisscrossed the islands of the Nile Delta. It was like an ancient Venice, with boats being the primary way to get around. Imagine gliding through these waterways, passing vibrant markets, grand houses, and workshops where artisans crafted incredible goods. The wealth flowing through Thonis-Heracleion was immense, making it one of the most prosperous cities of the ancient world. Life here was a rich tapestry of culture, a meeting point where Egyptian and Greek civilizations intertwined, creating something truly unique. But Thonis-Heracleion was more than just a center of trade. It was a profoundly sacred place. At its very heart stood the grand temple of Amun-Gareb, the supreme god of the Egyptian pantheon. This wasn't just any temple. It was a colossal structure, a place of immense religious importance where pharaohs themselves would come to receive their divine power and legitimize their rule. Imagine the scene: grand processions, elaborate rituals, and the air filled with incense and chanting. It was here that the continuity of the dynasties was affirmed. This temple was the spiritual anchor of the city, a symbol of its connection to the gods and its vital role in the Egyptian kingdom. The city was also famous in Greek mythology. It was known to the Greeks as Heracleion, named after Hercules himself, who they believed first set foot in Egypt at this very spot. Legend says that Helen of Troy and her lover Paris sought refuge here before the Trojan War. For centuries, these stories were thought to be just that, stories. The lines between myth and history were blurred, with Herodotus, the famous Greek historian, even writing about his visit to the city's great temple. But as the centuries passed, the city's name began to fade from maps and memories, slipping into the realm of legend. So what happened? How could such a vibrant and powerful city simply disappear from the face of the earth? The answer lies in the very ground it was built upon. The city was constructed on unstable deltaic sediments, a mix of sand and clay. This foundation was its Achilles heel. Starting around the 2nd century BC, a series of natural disasters began to strike. We're talking about a devastating combination of earthquakes, tsunamis, and rising sea levels. The first major earthquake caused widespread damage, liquefying the soil beneath the city. Buildings began to tilt and sink into the soft clay. Imagine the terror of the inhabitants as the ground beneath their feet literally turned to liquid. The canals that were once the city's lifelines became agents of its destruction, overflowing and flooding entire districts. This wasn't a single, sudden event, but a slow, agonizing process. Over several centuries, the city sank piece by piece. The inhabitants likely tried to rebuild, to fight back against the encroaching sea, but nature's forces were relentless. The city that was once the proud gateway to Egypt was being slowly, inexorably reclaimed by the Mediterranean. By the 8th century AD, what remained of Thonis-Heracleion was completely submerged, vanishing beneath the waves. The port that once welcomed the world was now silent, its grand temples and bustling streets buried under layers of sand and silt. For over 1,200 years, its exact location was a mystery. Ancient texts mentioned it, but with no physical evidence, it was largely consigned to the world of myth. It became Egypt's Atlantis, a phantom city haunting the pages of history. Fishermen in Abu Qir Bay would occasionally pull up strange artifacts in their nets, but no one could connect them to a single, magnificent lost city. The memory of Thonis-Heracleion was almost completely erased. Now, let's fast forward to the end of the 20th century. Enter Frank Gaudio, a French underwater archaeologist with a passion for uncovering lost worlds. For years, Gaudio and his team were convinced that the legends of Thonis-Heracleion were true. They believed the city was out there, waiting to be found somewhere in the vast expanse of Abu Qir Bay. Armed with ancient texts and the most advanced survey technology of the time, including side-scan sonar and nuclear magnetic resonance magnetometers, they began a systematic search. The task was monumental. They were scanning a huge area of the seabed, which was covered in thick sediment. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack, a very large, very wet haystack. For years, the search yielded frustratingly little. They found individual artifacts, but no sign of a cohesive city structure. The suspense was immense. Were they chasing a ghost? Was the city truly just a myth? The team meticulously mapped the bay, creating a detailed picture of the seafloor, hoping for a clue, any anomaly that might point to something extraordinary. Then, in the year 2000, it happened. The moment that would change history. Gaudio's team was investigating a particular area where their equipment detected large, man-made structures hidden beneath the sand. A diver descended into the murky water. As the silt cleared, a colossal stone face emerged from the darkness. It was a head from a giant statue, perfectly preserved. The feeling must have been electric. This wasn't just a random artifact. This was part of something huge. They had found it. They had found Thonis-Heracleion. The discovery was breathtaking. As they continued to excavate, an entire city began to reveal itself. Lying just a few meters below the seabed, preserved in a time capsule of sand and water, was the lost world of Thonis-Heracleion. It was a moment that archaeologists dream of. The mythical city was real, and they were the first people to see it in over a millennium. The legend had become reality, and the scale of what they had found was beyond their wildest dreams. What they uncovered was simply astonishing. This wasn't just a few scattered ruins, it was a city frozen in time. The mud and sand that had buried Thonis-Heracleion had also protected it from the ravages of the sea. The state of preservation was unbelievable. They found colossal statues, some standing over 5 meters tall, representing pharaohs, queens, and the god Hapi, the personification of the Nile's floods. These statues once lined the Grand Temple, and now they lay on the seabed, silent witnesses to the city's former glory. They uncovered the temple of Amun-Gareb itself, tracing its walls and discovering the central shrine where the most sacred rituals took place. They found hundreds of smaller statues, amulets, and religious artifacts offered to the gods. They even found over 700 ancient anchors and 60 shipwrecks, painting a vivid picture of the intense maritime activity that defined the city. These weren't just lumps of wood. They were perfectly preserved vessels from the 6th to the 2nd century BC, a treasure trove of information about ancient shipbuilding and trade. The discoveries brought the city back to life. Gold coins, intricate jewelry, and perfectly preserved ceremonial barges used in religious festivals were all brought to the surface. One of the most incredible finds was a massive stone stele, a decree from Pharaoh Nectanebo I. From 380 BC, it was almost identical to one found on land decades earlier. But this one detailed the taxes to be collected at Thonis-Heracleion, providing concrete proof of the city's name and its economic importance. Every artifact told a story, adding a new piece to the puzzle of this incredible civilization. The rediscovery of Thonis-Heracleion is more than just an amazing adventure story. It's a gateway, a unique window into a lost chapter of human history. Because the city sank and was preserved so perfectly, it offers us an unparalleled glimpse into life in the late Pharaonic period, a time of great change and cultural exchange. We can see how the Greek and Egyptian worlds blended, not just in texts, but in the art, the architecture, and the everyday objects left behind. This underwater city challenges what we thought we knew about the ancient world. It proves that some legends are rooted in fact, and that there are still incredible secrets lying hidden beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered. The ongoing excavation of Thonis-Heracleion continues to reveal new wonders, constantly rewriting history books. It's a powerful reminder of the grandeur of past civilizations and the awesome power of nature. The story of Thonis-Heracleion is a testament to human curiosity and our relentless drive to uncover the past. For centuries, it was nothing more than a myth, a ghost story whispered by ancient historians. A legendary city, once Egypt's magnificent gateway to the world, swallowed whole by the sea. They called it Thonis-Heracleion, a name lost to the waves, its existence debated, its location a mystery. For over 1,000 years it lay hidden beneath the Mediterranean, its golden age forgotten, its catastrophic end a chilling legend. But what if the legend was true? What if buried under layers of sand and sea, a complete metropolis was waiting to be found? This is the story of how a modern-day adventurer uncovered an entire civilization, revealing a tale of unimaginable splendor, sudden destruction, and one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of our time. Imagine stepping back 2,500 years. You're not in the Egypt of desert sands and pyramids that we all know. You're in a bustling, cosmopolitan port city, a true marvel of the ancient world. This is Thonis-Heracleion, Egypt's premier trading hub, its main door to the Mediterranean. The air is thick with the scent of spices from the east and the salt of the sea. The harbor is a forest of masts, crowded with ships from across the Greek world, from Phoenicia, from every corner of the known world, their hulls heavy with wine, olive oil, and silver. Merchants haggle in a dozen different languages in the sprawling markets, trading precious goods, grains, and papyrus. This city was the New York or London of its day, a vibrant melting pot of cultures, commerce, and ideas. At the very heart of this thriving metropolis stood a colossal structure, the great temple of Amun-Gereb, the supreme god of the Egyptian pantheon. It was the city's spiritual center, a place of immense power and wealth. Picture grand processions moving through the city's network of canals, which earned it the nickname, the Venice of Egypt. Priests in white linen robes would lead elaborate rituals, their chants echoing across the water as they honored the gods. Giant statues of pharaohs and deities lined the sacred waterways, their stone eyes watching over the city's fortunes. Life in Thonis-Heracleion was a dazzling spectacle of prosperity and devotion. It was a city at the peak of its power, a jewel of the Nile Delta, seemingly eternal and indestructible. But beneath the surface, the very ground on which this magnificent city was built held a dark and fatal secret. The end did not come slowly. It was sudden, violent, and absolute. Sometime around the 2nd century BC, disaster struck. The city was built on unstable delta sediments, a treacherous foundation of clay and sand saturated with water. One fateful day, a powerful earthquake shook the region. The tremors were so intense that the ground beneath Thonis-Heracleion began to lose its strength, its solid structure transforming into a liquid-like mass. This terrifying geological phenomenon is called soil liquefaction. Imagine the horror as the very earth turned to soup beneath your feet. Within moments, the city's foundations gave way. The massive stone temple, the towering statues, the bustling marketplaces, and the countless homes began to tilt and slide. Buildings weighing thousands of tons were swallowed by the earth as if they were made of paper. The ground didn't just crack. It dissolved. To compound the horror, the earthquake likely triggered a massive tidal wave, a tsunami, that roared in from the Mediterranean. A wall of water crashed over the sinking city, washing away everything, and everyone in its path, burying the magnificent port under tons of sand, mud, and water in a chaotic, watery grave. In a matter of minutes, a civilization vanished. Thonis-Heracleion was gone, wiped off the map, its story sinking into the realm of myth for the next 1200 years. Fast forward to the late 20th century. The legend of Thonis-Heracleion still lingered in ancient texts, a tantalizing clue for historians and adventurers. Many had searched for it, but the Mediterranean guarded its secrets well. Enter Frank Gaudio, a French marine archaeologist with a passion for uncovering lost worlds. Gaudio was different. He didn't just rely on old maps and luck. He brought cutting-edge technology to the search. For years, he and his team from the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology meticulously surveyed the vast expanse of Abukir Bay, off the coast of Alexandria. Using advanced side-scan sonar and nuclear magnetic resonance magnetometers, they created detailed maps of the seabed, searching for anomalies, for anything that didn't look natural. Year after year, they scanned the murky depths, finding nothing but sand and mud. The search was painstaking, frustrating, and many believed futile. But Gaudio was relentless, driven by the conviction that the city was out there. Then, in the year 2000, they got a hit. Their equipment detected a massive stone structure buried beneath the sediment. The team's divers descended into the cloudy water, their hearts pounding with anticipation. As they carefully cleared away the sand, a shape began to emerge. It was a colossal head, carved from red granite, its features serene and majestic, untouched by the centuries it had spent in its watery tomb. They had found it. The legend was real. Thonis-Heracleion had been rediscovered. That first glimpse of a face from the past was the key that unlocked a lost world. What Frank Gaudio and his team began to uncover was beyond anyone's wildest dreams. This wasn't just a few scattered ruins. It was an entire city, perfectly preserved beneath the waves. As they excavated, the treasures they brought to the surface were simply breathtaking. Imagine the moment of discovery. A colossal, 16-foot-tall statue of Hapi, the god of the Nile's flood, emerging from the gloom of the seafloor, looking as perfect as the day it was carved. Then, another giant statue, a Ptolemaic queen dressed as the goddess Isis, and beside her, a red granite colossus of a pharaoh, his powerful form a testament to the city's might. But it wasn't just the monumental statues. The seabed was littered with the intimate details of daily life and sacred ritual. They found over 700 ancient anchors forming a ship graveyard that spoke of the city's immense maritime traffic. They discovered caches of gold coins and jewelry, still gleaming after millennia underwater. They unearthed delicate bronze ritual vessels, small limestone sarcophagi that once held mummified animals offered to the gods, and dozens of perfectly preserved wooden ship hulls, the largest fleet of ancient vessels ever found. Each artifact was a piece of the puzzle, a tangible link to the people who lived, worked, and worshipped in this incredible city. It was as if time had frozen, capturing a snapshot of a vibrant civilization just before it was tragically extinguished. The rediscovery of Thonis-Heracleion is more than just an amazing adventure story, it's a fundamental rewriting of history. For so long, we believed we understood the ancient world, but the city under the sea showed us how much we still have to learn. It confirmed ancient texts that had been dismissed as fantasy and provided undeniable physical evidence of the deep connections between ancient Egypt and the Greek world. The treasures brought back to the light are not just beautiful objects. They are storytellers. They tell us of a sophisticated, multicultural society, of its deep religious faith, and of its tragic, sudden demise. The story of Thonis-Heracleion is a powerful reminder of the fragility of civilization and the awesome power of nature. A city that was once the epicenter of global trade, a beacon of culture and wealth, was erased from existence in an instant. Yet, it is also a story of incredible resilience and rebirth. Thanks to the vision and perseverance of modern explorers, this lost city has risen from its watery grave, its stories no longer silenced by the sea. It lives again, not in stone and mortar, but in our knowledge and imagination, a ghost city brought back into the light. Imagine a city so legendary it was thought to be a myth, a magnificent port, Egypt's gateway to the Greek world, that simply vanished, swallowed by the sea. For centuries, the story of Thonis-Heracleion was just that, a story, a whisper from the past, mentioned in ancient texts by historians like Herodotus. It was a place of immense wealth, a bustling hub of trade, and a sacred site where pharaohs were crowned. But like the lost city of Atlantis, it disappeared from the map, leaving behind only questions and legends. What really happened to this great city? And could any part of it have survived its watery grave? Today, we read diving deep into the Mediterranean to uncover the truth behind one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, the rediscovery of the sunken city of Thonis-Heracleion. Let's journey back to the 8th century BC. Picture Thonis-Heracleion, not as a ruin, but in its golden age. The air is thick with the scent of exotic spices and the sound of a dozen different languages. Ships from across the ancient world, Greece, Phoenicia, the Levant, are moored in its harbor, their sails like a forest against the horizon. This isn't just a city. It's the heart of international commerce for the entire Egyptian empire. Merchants haggle over goods in bustling marketplaces, trading grain, papyrus, and perfumes for silver, wine, and olive oil. Canals, like watery streets, crisscross the city, connecting the main port to the canopic branch of the Nile. It's a metropolis built on water, a Venice of the ancient world. At its very center stands the colossal temple of Amun-Gareb, the supreme god of the Egyptians. This was more than just a place of worship. It was the spiritual and political core of the city. It's said that even the legendary Helen of Troy and her lover Paris sought refuge here before the Trojan War. This was a city where history and myth intertwined, a beacon of culture and power. For nearly 1,000 years, Thonis-Heracleion thrived, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. But the very ground it was built on, the soft clay and sand of the Nile Delta, held a secret that would ultimately lead to its doom. The city's decline was not a single catastrophic event, but a slow, agonizing process. Over centuries, a combination of natural phenomena conspired against it. The immense weight of its grand temples and colossal statues pressed down on the unstable soil. Earthquakes, a common threat in the region, would have shaken its foundations, causing the ground to liquefy and compact. At the same time, a gradual rise in sea level began to reclaim the land inch by inch. The once mighty city started to sink. Imagine the terror of its inhabitants as the waters crept higher, flooding streets and homes. They fought back, of course, raising floors and reinforcing structures, but it was a losing battle against the relentless forces of nature. By the 2nd century BC, large parts of the city were already submerged. Finally, sometime around the 8th century AD, a final devastating event, perhaps a powerful flood or another major earthquake, delivered the finishing blow. Thonis-Heracleion, once the jewel of the Mediterranean, slipped completely beneath the waves, taking its stories and treasures with it. For the next 1,200 years, it lay hidden and forgotten, its exact location lost to time, becoming a footnote in history, a ghost city whispered about by scholars. Fast forward to the late 20th century. The legend of Thonis-Heracleion had captivated the imagination of a French underwater archaeologist named Frank Gaudio. He was convinced the city was real and that its ruins were waiting to be found. But where do you even begin to search for a lost city under the vast expanse of the Mediterranean Sea? Gaudio and his team from the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology embarked on one of the most ambitious survey projects ever undertaken. They focused their search on Abu Qir Bay, a large area off the coast of Alexandria. For years, they systematically mapped the seabed, not with shovels and brushes, but with cutting-edge technology. They used sophisticated side-scan sonar, which paints a picture of the seafloor with sound waves, and nuclear magnetic resonance magnetometers, which can detect anomalies like buried stone structures under layers of sediment. It was painstaking, meticulous work. They weren't just looking for a needle in a haystack. They were looking for a haystack buried under an ocean. They trawled back and forth, year after year, collecting vast amounts of data. The digital maps they created showed promising signs, unusual shapes and formations hidden beneath the silt, but nothing definitive. The team faced countless challenges, from strong currents to poor visibility. Doubt surely crept in. Were they chasing a ghost? Was the legend of Heracleion truly just a myth after all? Then in the year 2000, everything changed. After 4 long years of searching, Gaudio's team was investigating a particularly promising anomaly. A diver descended through the murky water, his light cutting through the gloom, and then he saw it. Emerging from the sand and silt, a monumental face stared back at him. It was a colossal stone head, perfectly preserved. This wasn't just a random artifact, it was part of a giant statue. The excitement was electric. They had found it. The moment of discovery was breathtaking. As they cleared away more sediment, the scale of what they had uncovered became apparent. It wasn't just one statue. It was an entire city, frozen in time, they had located the main temple of Imin-Garib. Nearby, they found the shattered remains of a smaller shrine, holding a black granite stele, an inscribed stone slab. When they raised this stele to the surface, archaeologists were able to read its inscription. It detailed a royal decree from Pharaoh Nectanebo I and explicitly named the location Heracleion. The two cities, Thonis and Heracleion, long thought to be separate, were one and the same. The myth was real. The legend had a name, and its location was finally confirmed. The years of searching, the high-tech surveys, the unwavering belief, it had all paid off in one of the most spectacular archaeological discoveries of our time. The treasures that have been brought to the surface since that day are nothing short of astounding. The conditions under the sea, free from oxygen and human interference, acted as a perfect time capsule. Divers have uncovered over 700 ancient anchors, a testament to the city's role as a massive port. They found dozens of shipwrecks, their hulls filled with gold coins, ceramics, and other trade goods from across the ancient world. But the most awe-inspiring finds are the statues. Imagine colossal, 16-foot-tall pink granite statues of a pharaoh and a queen, and another of Hapi, the god of the Nile's flood. These magnificent figures once flanked the entrance to the great temple. Now they lie on the seabed, their stone eyes gazing into the watery abyss. They've also discovered hundreds of smaller bronze statues of gods and goddesses, intricate gold jewelry, and ceremonial barges used in religious festivals. Each artifact tells a piece of the city's story. The famous stele of Thonis-Heracleion not only confirmed the city's name, but also provided invaluable information about its tax, laws, and religious practices, effectively rewriting parts of ancient Egyptian history. We learned that Heracleion was the official port of entry for all Greek ships, a fact previously unknown. It was the customs office of its day, a place of immense economic importance. The underwater city isn't just a collection of beautiful objects. It's a library of information, offering a unique window into life over 2,000 years ago. The discovery of Thonis-Heracleion is more than just an exciting adventure story. It's a profound reminder of how much of our own history is still hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. This city forces us to reconsider what we thought we knew about the ancient world, particularly the deep connections between the cultures of Egypt and Greece. It shows us that these were not separate, isolated civilizations, but part of a vibrant, interconnected network of trade, culture, and belief. The artifacts from Heracleion bridge a gap in our knowledge, providing tangible evidence for stories we once dismissed as mere legends. The work in Abu Qir Bay is far from over. Experts believe that they have only excavated about 5% of the total city area. Who knows what other wonders lie sleeping beneath the sand? What other secrets are waiting to be told? Thonis-Heracleion is a testament to both the grandeur of human achievement and the awesome power of nature. It's a city that was lost to the sea but has now been returned to us, a precious gift from the deep that continues to reshape our understanding of the past. It shows us that sometimes the greatest treasures are not buried in the ground, but beneath the waves. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible underwater journey. If you were as fascinated by the story of Thonis-Heracleion as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the lost worlds of history. Let us know in the comments what other historical mystery you'd like us to explore next. Until then, keep exploring.